Hello, my name is Kyle Poston, and I'm making this video for you as a small business owner who has been impacted by the coronavirus, by everything that's taken place with COVID-19. And now that the CARES Act has been signed into law by both Congress and the President, and we know that a massive amount of relief funds are coming into play. I've spent hours and hours over the weekend to read through that entire bill, to start to consolidate it and organize all that information. And while I was doing that, trying to make sense of it for myself, I thought, you know what, let me put this together in a video in case, some other business owner is also looking to just save some time and maybe searching online to see if anyone else has kind of done this and read through it. So that's what this video is all about. It's a full breakdown of the small business loans and disaster relief loans coming through the Small Business Administration through the SBA, specifically for small business owners, to be able to sustain themselves and get through this gap in time. So follow along with me here. I'm not overstating this. There are some extremely substantial benefits attached to these loans. These are not your typical loans. And this is not your typical type of relief funding. I'm going to break everything down for you. I'm going to show you exactly where it's referenced in the bills. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into this. As we know, the CARES Act issued about $2.2 trillion in that law that was signed. And so, this is roughly the breakdown of it. Thanks to NPR, they created this visual for us. It's on their website, and you can go there and see it if you'd like. But we know roughly about $560 billion was set aside for individuals to be able to send out those $1,200 checks to taxpayers. And we've got about $153 billion set aside for public health and hospitals dealing with the coronavirus and keeping everybody healthy. We've got state and local governments who are receiving $339 billion. Big corporations receiving a large bulk of this, about $500 billion. Education getting about $43 billion. And then small businesses have had $377 billion set aside to provide relief funding specifically for business owners like myself and for you. So how do we access that funding? How do we get a hold of that relief money? Well, the bulk of this is being administered through the Small Business Administration, through the SBA. And that's what I'm going to show you right now is, do you qualify for it? And then how do you access it? So let's go ahead, let's jump right into it. So these are SBA loans specifically for the COVID-19 relief. Will you qualify if you apply? What are the qualification criteria? Well, let's go ahead and jump right into this. So $299 billion of that $377 billion have been released specifically for loans. And these are not your normal type of loans. These are disaster relief loans. And they've been released to the SBA to disperse for the roughly 30 million small businesses in the United States right now. Now, that's roughly $10,000 per business if we divided it equally, but we all know these loans are not going to be divided equally. They're going to be allotted to businesses based on the size and scope of their business, how many people they employ, and what they qualify for. So these loans can go up to as much as $10 million per business. And these loans are now available statewide in every state in the United States, and they're no longer limited to certain disaster counties. So that was a recent change. Your application must be filed as soon as possible if you want a chance at securing one of these funds before they're all dispersed, because most businesses are going to be asking for and qualifying for a lot more than that $10,000. So just doing simple math, the funding will go quicker than you might think. And the SBA will apply this new loan criteria to all loans that have been submitted between March 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2020. They're referencing this as the covered period. So essentially from March 1st until the end of the year is the covered period in which you can submit an application for one of these SBA disaster relief loans. And all these loans will receive all the benefits that I'm going to outline for you in this video. Coverage now applies to all small business types, plus private nonprofit organizations and public nonprofit organizations with less than 500 employees in their organization. So, if a company and a business has more than 500 employees in their organization, you're really exceeding the small business category at that point. You're really moving into the mid-sized, large businesses. And even a company that has, think about it, a company that has 400 employees may even have offices in multiple states, multiple locations. They're going to be asking for a lot more money, and they're probably going to be qualifying for a lot more assistance with one of these loans than a normal mom and pop shop who only has 1 or 2 employees. But it's available to all of us. So we need to be able to move quickly and get your application in here. Understand what the criteria is. If you qualify, start taking action. And so that's really the purpose behind this video, to help you all along with this. There is I'll go through some of the exclusions and limitations as well. So one exclusion right off the bat, which will make you not eligible for this loan, is if you are a nonprofit entity involved in Title 19 of your state's Social Security Act, and you are receiving funds that way. You will obviously know who you are if you're already receiving money from them. You can reference that in Title 19 here. Oh, by the way, I am making this PDF available for anyone to be able to download. I'll tell you how to get it at the end of this. So you can come back to this PDF. All these are clickable reference links, and like here, I'll just go ahead and show you what this is all about. So a reference link here takes you straight to the actual bill, and it's going to show you. So right here, when we were talking about, in general, during the covered period, any business concern, private nonprofit organization, or public nonprofit organization which employs not more than 500 employees shall be eligible to receive a loan made under Section 7A of the Small Business Act, which is exactly the loans that we're talking about right now, through the SBA, in addition to small business concerns. So you can start to see, this, everything in this bill it's all legalese language. Thankfully, I've had experience with, this, and I had to translate it for myself first, and as I was doing that, I was like, let me just condense this down and simplify it for anyone else, so that you guys can start to understand this pretty quickly, but also have references directly to the bill where it's talking about this. So, there's no lack of clarity here if you want to see the actual language in the bill itself. But that's what these reference links are all about here in this document. And once you download it as a PDF, it's as simple as just clicking on the link. It'll take you right to the site. And again, just so you realize, how much was covered in this, there's a lot. This was like hours and hours of reading here. So let's just get back to it. Anyway, aside from that exclusion, let's go ahead and get into some of the further qualifications. You must have been in business or operating as a nonprofit on March 1st, 2020, which means if you started your business on March 2nd, 2020, even though you may be impacted by this, by everything that's going on with coronavirus, you would not qualify. In addition to having to have your business in operation before March 1st, 2020, you also had to already have employees for whom you were paying salaries and payroll taxes. So if you don't meet either of those, there's going to be other options for relief out there for you, but one of these SBA loans is not going to be the channel to go down. Just start moving on from here. And so another major disqualifier is if you have already taken out any other disaster relief loans under this CARES Act program, or you're a previous or you've been involved in any other previous program related to COVID-19 disaster relief. And so if you've already gotten another funding, perhaps even a grant, You will not be able to take out a second loan from this. So, there's kind of like no double dipping. If you want to clarify any of that with someone at an SBA directory office, by all means clarify that, but that's going to be a major disqualifier. This is really for anyone who has not already received, as a business, you have not received any other disaster relief loans. Continue on. The maximum loan amount you can qualify for. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. So they will be looking for specific types of monthly payments that you've been making during the last year, starting from your date of application, going back through the last 12 months. So for example, your application date was March 29th, 2020. They will be looking for specific types of monthly payments that you made in your business going all the way back to April of 2019, April 1st. And so what are those specific payments that they're going to be looking for? I'm about to break that down for you. An exception, if you are a seasonal business, they will only be looking at your payments from March 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. And then they will multiply those payments by 4 to find a yearly average that they can work with. Now, if your business is a seasonal business and this period of time happens to be your off season where you weren't making payroll payments, you weren't making lease payments, you weren't making any of the qualifying payments that they're looking for, that's going to be trouble for you. So you may need to talk with somebody at an SBA office to get further clarification. If you can complete your application as a non-seasonal business, as a full-time business, in order for them to look at the entire year for you, so you can see what you can qualify for. Maximum loan amount continued. They are only going to total up, these are the payments that they're going to be looking for. They're only going to total up your payroll payments, your mortgage payments if you own your business property or are in real estate. They're going to be looking at rent payments for leases such as office leases or store leases, and they're going to be looking at payments on any other debt obligations that would be considered loans or credit cards. Let's go ahead and look at this as a reference. Excellent. So as we can see right here, during the covered period with respect to any loan guaranteed under Section 7A of the Small Business Act, for which an application is approved or pending approval on or after the date of enactment of this act, the maximum loan amount shall be the lesser of, all this. They're looking for the average total monthly payments by the applicant for payroll, mortgage payments, rent payments, and payments on any other debt obligations incurred during the 1-year period before the date on which the loan is made, except that in the case of an applicant that is a seasonal employer as determined by the administrator, the average total monthly payments for payroll shall be for the period beginning March 1st through June 30th of 2019. So again, that's what these reference links are about, just to show you, that specifically is what they're going to be looking at. They're not going to be looking at a bunch of other payments that you're making as far as operating costs and stuff like that. They're only going to be looking at these specific payments to determine how much you actually qualify for and funding for a relief loan. They're going to add them all up and make a monthly average of those payments. So for example, your monthly payroll averages to $30,000 per month over the last 12 months. Your store lease has averaged to $5,000 per month over the last 12 months, and your average monthly debt payments on business loans and credit cards is $2,000 per month. So your total average payments that they're going to be looking at is going to equal $37,000 per month over the last 12 months. And so they're going to take that and they're going to multiply it by 12. And you're going to see that total, $444,000, would be the maximum amount that you could qualify for in loan assistance, with a lot of benefits attached to that loan. I'm going to go over those benefits, and they are really unique right now. So stick with me here. Now, $10 million is the maximum amount of a loan that any business can receive. But that's a lot. If a business is, in the last 12 months, they've used $10 million towards payroll, office leases or mortgages, and business loans, that's a large business. They're going to be on probably, one of the upper tiers, nearing those 500 employees, or however their business is structured. But this is able to provide some substantial relief for businesses that go after this. But just the same, if your total is only $100,000, you're going to see why it makes sense to still apply and still see if you can get some of this funding. And so, the reason why they're taking the averages here is for some pretty obvious reasons. Let's say that, throughout 2019, business was going well. You started hiring 1, 2, 10 more people into your business for growth, and your payroll started changing. They're going to be looking at those payments over the last 12 months, and they're going to be building it into a 12-month average. Let's say throughout that period of growth, you moved or added an additional office space, or you moved into a larger office, and now your lease payments changed halfway through the middle of last year. Again, they're going to average that down so they can look at that. I'm sure, that clicks, that makes sense. So they want to find your total averages, and then once they find the average, they're going to multiply it by 12 to get a full year's picture, and that's going to be your total amount that you can qualify for. So allowable uses of the loan. What can you use it for in your business? Once you get approved for the loan and you accept the loan, you can use it for these things that you will need to document in order to receive the benefits. So you will need to document that this money went towards payroll support, including paid sick time off, medical leave, family leave, costs related to continuation of group health care benefits during those periods of leave, employee salaries, mortgage payments, rent, including rent under lease management, and utilities. In addition to that, it can go towards other debt obligations that were incurred before the covered period of March 1st, 2020. So if you have previous business loans, if you have debt that you put onto a business credit card or a line of credit, you're going to be able to use these funds to refinance that debt. This is a big deal. So you're going to be able to very likely refinance any previous business debt at a lower rate and take part in the benefits, which include payment deferral and loan forgiveness. Now you're going to realize why this is so important. Maximum interest rate and term of loan. So these loans will be issued with a 3.75% interest rate for small businesses, and they're not allowed to exceed a 4% interest rate. For nonprofits, the interest rate on the loan will be 2.75%, and the longest term available for these loans is 30 years, which means for any amount that needs to be paid back, it'll be a 30-year payment, similar to the way mortgages, conventional mortgages are set up. Will help spread out that amount so that it's affordable and it's manageable. All of these loans will be eligible for payment deferral and loan forgiveness benefits. I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to reference this a little bit later because there was a whole section on it. And another benefit is that there is going to be no prepayment penalty if you pay off any of this loan early. And lastly, the origination fees that are usually added to start and process a loan are going to be waived entirely and reduced down to zero for these loans. So essentially no upfront cost in order to acquire this loan for your business. You're going to be able to get it at an interest rate of 3.75% if you're a small business, 2.75% if you're a nonprofit. You can extend the payment of this loan out 30 years, and you're going to have some benefits I'm going to talk about for a little bit later. A payment deferral, so you can push off the payment and you won't have to make any payments on this loan for quite a while. And even loan forgiveness, where there's going to be parts of this loan that you may never have to pay back. You're just going to have it given to you. So using the previous example of that $37,000 per month, let's just take a look at this and break this down. Your average monthly qualified payments equals $37,000 per month. You qualify for a total loan of $440,000 at 3.75% with a term of 30 years to repay. Your monthly payment for this loan would be $2,037.71. You are eligible, or you will be eligible to defer your payments on this loan until January 2021. That is the deferral period. So you would not have to start making payments on this loan for the entire rest of this year until the start of next year. You'll also be eligible for loan forgiveness benefits to reduce or eliminate the amount you owe or have to pay back later, based on some very specific criteria. So let's continue down this example. As we stated, your monthly payroll is $30,000 per month. Your lease for your store is $5,000 per month, and your monthly debt payments are $2,000 per month. Those debts are split between a previous business loan for $150,000 at 5.75%, and your credit card debt of $50,000 is under financing at 9.75%. Altogether, your debt payments come out to roughly $2,000 per month. So here's what you could do. This is a quick scenario and how this financing could work in a situation like this. You could use $200,000 of that $440,000 to pay off those two debts and refinance them into this SBA loan that now has a lower interest rate of 3.75%. Plus, this loan is going to include loan forgiveness benefits and the payment deferral benefit. So your monthly payments would drop down to $35,000 per month because your debt payment of this $2,000 has now been absorbed into this $440,000 loan. And that debt payment of your loan payment of $2,000, which looks to be about the same as your previous debt, can now be deferred until the very end of the year. So you don't even have to make this $2,000 payment until the start of next year. And that's only if, parts of your loan aren't forgiven, if they don't forgive a good portion of it. Think about how that would work. Your monthly payments are now lower than they were before, and you have now more capital to work with and cover yourself. So out of that $440,000, you use $200,000 to consolidate your debt and refinance it into this loan. You have $240,000 left over, and you use that on your monthly payroll and your store lease to keep your business going, so you can keep your store open for your customers and you can keep paying your employees to get through this gap in time until the coronavirus, starts to wear off. It makes its way through, flatten the curve on this thing, and we can get back to, back to our lives. And just continuing with this example, $240,000 divided by $35,000 per month would equal 6.85 months that this loan would be able to cover your payroll and your lease payments. If your loan was approved and issued in mid-April, so let's say April 15th, you've already submitted your application as of today. By the middle of April, your loan gets approved, they issue you that money. This means your business could continue to remain open and available for your customers without having to worry about these big monthly costs of $35,000 a month in monthly costs, and you wouldn't have to worry about it until the end of October. This buys you a really good amount of time. So this means that you can focus on your customers for the next 7 months. Just really dial in and focus on that, and not have to worry about some pretty substantial costs in your business. And when January 2021 rolls around and the payment deferral ends, your monthly payment would really only go back to roughly the same as it was, with that $2,037 now being rolled back into your monthly cost of to total that $37.71. But now, what you have now at that point that you didn't have before is that you now have options of loan forgiveness to reduce the amount that you owe on this loan. And I'm going to cover all the criteria of this loan forgiveness. But you're going to have that available to you where you didn't have that before on your previous debt. So your previous business loan, your previous credit cards, I'm 100% positive they probably did not include loan forgiveness options on them, whereas this will. So do you see how this could help your business? We'll keep on moving through here. The loan forgiveness benefits and criteria. The amount of loan forgiveness under this section for an eligible recipient shall not exceed the sum of the total payroll costs incurred by the eligible recipient during the covered period, and 2, the amount of payments made during the covered period on debt obligations that were incurred before the covered period. So what does that mean? That means that lease payments and mortgage payments made will not be eligible for forgiveness, but your payroll costs will be eligible for forgiveness. All the money you pay in payroll to keep your employees on staff can be forgiven, which means you don't have to pay it back. All of the money from that loan that you put towards your debt obligations, by using $200,000 of that to pay off your previous debts, that can all be forgiven, which means you don't have to pay that back if you do the right things. If you properly document and you show them where you allocated that money and that the total loan amount went towards these qualifying costs in your business. So when it comes time around December 31st, 2020, you can file the application to have a good portion of your loan amount forgiven. So the loan forgiveness amount can be limited and reduced if you do any of these things. If you reduce your workforce during the covered period from March 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, they can reduce the amount of the loan that they would otherwise forgive. So if you lay people off, if you've laid people off since March 1st of this year, throughout any of this time, and you take out this loan, they're going to go back and they're going to retroactively look at that. That means that a portion of your loan may not be forgiven. If you've kept everybody on, or if you hire them back on, and your workforce stays the same as it was, then you could have the full amount of those payroll costs forgiven through this loan. And the other way is if you reduce the compensation of anyone making less than $100,000 per year during this covered period from March 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, again, that's going to hurt your loan forgiveness. So if you reduce the compensation of anyone in your business making less than $100,000 per year, then they're going to deduct that from your loan forgiveness. You're going to have to pay that amount of your loan back. They're going to see all that. If you don't reduce the compensation of everyone, then you don't have to worry. You'll be able to get the full extent of that loan forgiveness, which means there's going to be a lot of money that you do not have to pay back from your payroll costs. Now, let's go back to our example one more time. Your monthly payroll is $30,000 per month. Your monthly lease is $5,000 per month, and your monthly debt payments are $2,000 per month. You qualify and you take that loan for $440,000. You use $200,000 to pay off your previous business loan and your credit card debt. That, if you document it properly, that means that $200,000 is going to qualify for loan forgiveness that you do not have to pay back. Now, you use the rest of your $240,000 to pay for $35,000 in payroll per month and your store lease payments for the next 6.85 months. So that looks like, your lease $5,000 per month for 6.85 months is a $30,000 total. And then your payroll is $30,000 per month for 7 months. That's the other $210,000. So that totals up to be that $240,000 left over in your loan. And As I stated, if you document everything appropriately, they give you the guidelines on how to document everything, then you would be able to come back after December 31st and claim to have your $200,000 in debt payments forgiven and your $210,000 in payroll costs over that 7 months also forgiven. So you got to keep all of your employees employed under payroll without reducing their compensation, and you got to have you have the opportunity now to have them on payroll for that extent of time absolutely free as relief through this funding. And you can wipe out all of your business debt. You had $200,000 in business debt, gone. So it would really only leave you $30,000 left to pay back. You see how big of a deal this is? This is a big deal. This is like unprecedented relief as far as in my lifetime. I don't remember anything like this rolling around after the 2008 economic crisis. And so, people are going to be moving fast to get these applications in. The criteria of this loan forgiveness benefit, this is straight out of the bill. It says after December 31st, 2020, the borrower must submit an application including documentation verifying the number of full-time equivalent employees on payroll, as well as their pay rates during the period of March 1st, 2020, all the way until December 31st, 2020, including their payroll tax filings reported to the IRS, including their state income, payroll, and unemployment insurance filings, including their financial statements, verifying payment on debt obligations incurred during the covered period. I'm sorry, that's your financial statements, verifying those debt obligations, and any other documentation the administrator determines necessary. So provide them the paperwork, like it's worth it. Additional criteria for this loan forgiveness benefit. Certification. An eligible recipient receiving a loan forgiveness shall make a good faith certification that the uncertainty of current economic conditions justifies the loan request to support the ongoing operations of the borrower and acknowledges that these funds will be used to retain workers and to maintain payroll. So you're going to have to show that you use these funds to keep your business sustaining, and that this whole it's just a statement. You're going to have to put together a statement to let them know, like, you're asking for these relief funds for the right reasons. No loan forgiveness without documentation. That's very clearly stated in that bill. And so, in addition, some other benefits: no taxes will be due on any of the loan amount that is forgiven. You wouldn't otherwise usually have to pay taxes. I'm not a tax expert by any means. I'm not a lawyer, but if you read this bill, you want to consult with anyone that is a lawyer. Obviously do whatever you think is best for your business. But these are just things that are stated right in the bill themselves. So we can see right here, taxability, canceled indebtedness. The cancellation of indebtedness on a covered loan under this section will not otherwise modify the terms and conditions of the loan, and canceled indebtedness under this section shall be excluded from gross income for purposes of IRS Code of 1986. So it means you don't have to pay taxes on it. Quick decision on forgiveness application. It's no longer than 15 days. So as soon as those applications come in, it states right in the bill that they're going to be making a really quick turnaround on those things. How to apply for one of these loans. All right, this is the point. This is where you got to start taking action. This is where we all have to take action on this if you think this is going to be a fit for your business. All this money is being released for funding for 7A loans to be distributed by the Small Business Administration. So to start your application, you're going to go here, this link. It is https://COVID, COVID 19 relief, relief.sba.gov / pound sign or number sign and / again. So you click on that link, It's going to take you to the application page here on the SBA website, and it's all online. This is the fastest way to go about it. It's a streamlined process requirements, and you just start from there. They do say that prepare for this application to take a little more than 2 hours in order to complete. So definitely set aside some time in order to go through this for your business, in order just to complete the application. And if you run into questions, reach out to your local SBA district office, which you can locate on the SBA website here. It's under their local assistance. So looks just like this. Over here under local assistance, put in your zip code, and it'll locate in the closest SBA office to you. Look for their district office. So some final notes. If you like, I've taken this entire slideshow, I've turned into a PDF with all these reference links just to make it quicker. If you would like to be able to download this, it has all the working website links included in it. Just click the link below this video and you'll receive instant access to this PDF. The PDF will be sent to you by email, and you can use it from there. I really hope it's a resource that can help you kind of consolidate this information very quickly and then start to take action on it. I really think this is a unique opportunity for small businesses to get some needed relief to help us come back even stronger from this. And you know that there are some very substantial financial benefits to one of these loans. Also, if this application for financial assistance does not work for you, just don't give up. This is not the only option in order to get some relief money. There's other options that are out there and available. I've already even found some other options that I'm going to highlight in some other videos. So, you know, look for my other YouTube videos where I quickly show you, what's happening right now in the money markets. There's some other very big things happening right now in the money markets that's about to, hit our economy, and it's about to open up a lot of relief, a lot of assistance, and a lot of low interest lending. I'm going to show you what's most important, how you can get some of that relief money for yourself, for your loved ones, and for your business. So below this video in the description where it says show more, if you click that, you're going to find the links to my other YouTube videos, and you're also going to see the link to download this PDF for free. If you want YouTube to send you an email just to let you know when I release a new YouTube video, just hit the subscribe button. It's right here in the bottom right. Just says subscribe. All you have to do is click on that, and YouTube will send you an email next time I upload a YouTube video about this. So I just want to keep other small business owners current as we're all going through this. And if we can help each other, that's what this is all about. So take care. Y'all stay safe and stay healthy out there.